So maybe you're thinking about becoming a mentor like in the UXR field, and you really want to make sure you're, not just like throwing people into the deep end without any floaties or anything.
Right.
So we're diving deep today into this article all about it.
Yeah.
By Nikki Anderson.
Yeah, she's great.
And she seems like she's been there.
Oh, yeah, she's been on both sides of this whole mentor-mentee thing.
Okay.
And she talks about how, like, early in her career, she was like the UXR person at her company.
Yeah.
But her manager didn't really get it,
Oh, no.
They weren't a researcher. So
Yeah.
she was really craving that feedback from somebody who really understood.
Yeah, like someone who speaks your language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she actually ended up finding that support from a mentor outside of her organization. But I think this is important. She says it's super important to remember that mentorship and management are not the same thing.
Oh, that's a good point.
Even though the lines can get kind of blurry.
Oh, yeah, especially at work, right?
Especially at work, exactly.
Yeah.
It shouldn't feel like a performance review with a little side of career advice.
Right, because then people clam up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
And to kind of highlight that point, Anderson actually shares how when she became a mentor, she had to like really look at her own assumptions about feedback.
Oh, interesting.
Because she used to think that everybody wanted it the same way.
Oh.
Newsflash, they don't.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks.
Right. And she learned the hard way that tailoring that feedback to like individual preferences is so important.
Oh, for sure, because some people really want to hear it.
Yes.
And some people, you need to like really finesse it a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You've got to like soften the blow.
Yeah.
It's like different love languages, but for professional development.
I love that.
Yeah.
The love languages of feedback.
Yes, exactly.
That's a good one.
So Anderson actually asks her new mentees a bunch of targeted questions right up front.
I love when there's like a framework.
Yes.
Like a system.
So these questions are designed to kind of set those clear expectations from day one.
Give me the goods.
And lay the groundwork for a successful mentorship.
Okay, what kind of questions are we talking about?
So two that really stood out to me were, what are like your top 3 challenges at work right now?
Ooh, good one.
And then what about user research do you feel the least confident about?
That's good because then you get it out there.
Yes.
Right? Like you address the elephant in the room, which is like all those insecurities you have, especially when you're newer.
Exactly. And it doesn't waste any time.
Right.
With like vague pleasantries. It gets right to the heart of it.
Yeah.
And then once she has a sense of, what their challenges are, she guides them in setting SMART goals.
Okay, I've heard of SMART goals, but remind me what that is again.
So it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay, so instead of just saying, like, I want to get better at user interviews or something.
Right. It would be more like, by the end of this mentorship, I want to be able to confidently lead a user interview, analyze the findings, and then present like a really compelling summary of insights to stakeholders.
Wow, that's so specific.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's a goal
that
you can actually track and measure.
Yeah, you have like a roadmap instead of just wandering around in the woods hoping you find something.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I love it.
And Anderson takes that clarity a step further by actually like discussing logistics and feedback preferences up front.
Oh, that's smart.
She'll ask things like, how do you prefer to receive feedback? Like, do you want it like in the moment? Or do you need some time to reflect?
Oh, that's huge.
What's a time you received feedback that was actually helpful and like what made it effective?
I love that she just nips that in the bud right away.
Yes.
Because sometimes it can be awkward.
It can be so awkward.
I want to talk about that stuff.
It can really make or break the mentorship, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're not on the same page
totally.
about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that open communication is even more important
Okay.
when you consider how personal mentorship can actually get.
Okay, that's a good point.
Which leads us to Anderson's next point, which is building trust and vulnerability.
It really is.
Yeah.
You got to be upfront about that stuff right from the get-go.
Totally. And, she's really emphasizing that mentorship should be like a two-way street.
Okay.
Where like both people are growing and learning
Yeah.
and being vulnerable with each other.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not about like presenting yourself as this like UXR guru who has all the answers.
Right, because then it's just intimidating.
Exactly. Because how can anybody live up to that?
Yeah.
So one of the things she really emphasizes is finding that human connection.
Yeah.
Like that shared ground.
Okay.
Outside of work stuff.
I like that.
And she even tells this really great story about how she bonded with one of her mentees over their like shared love of tennis.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Those little things
Yes.
make people feel comfortable.
That makes clear.
It shows you're invested. You're not just like, oh, you're my mentee. Here's your to-do list. See?
Right. It's not just a task on your list.
Exactly.
It's about like, I see you as a person.
Yes.
And I want to connect with you on a human level.
100%.
And then she also advocates for being really open about her own challenges and failures.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Right.
Yeah, because I feel like we put mentors on such a pedestal.
Yes.
But when you're just like, hey, I've messed up a bunch of times too.
Yes.
It makes it so much more approachable.
It makes people feel safe to make mistakes.
Totally.
Which is so important because this is your career.
Yeah.
It's personal.
Yeah, you're putting yourself out there.
Exactly.
So, okay, that's all good. Like the foundation is good.
Yeah.
But how does she actually recommend helping people level up their UXR skills?
Okay. So she's all about practical application.
Okay, I like it.
So one of the things she emphasizes is active listening.
Okay.
Which sounds so basic.
Oh my God. Yes.
Right. But it's something...
Every time I think I'm a good listener, I'm like, oh, I need to work on that.
We all need to work on it.
Yeah.
So she uses this technique called reflective listening.
Ooh, tell me more.
Okay, so say your mentee is doing like a mock user interview.
Okay.
So they're interviewing you. You're pretending to be a user.
Uh-huh.
And after every response you give as the pretend user, she'll have the mentee repeat back what they heard.
Oh, that's good.
But in their own words.
So you're not just like parroting back.
Exactly.
You're really like absorbing it.
Yes.
Okay, I like it.
Because it forces you to like slow down.
Totally.
Be present in the moment.
Yeah.
Which is so crucial for UXR.
100%.
And then once those active listening muscles are warmed up, it's time to tackle another biggie, which is
hit me.
Giving and receiving feedback effectively.
Ooh, that is big and scary.
It is.
Yes.
Because
super easy to mess up.
It's so easy to mess up.
Too vague. It's useless.
Right.
Too harsh, and you just like crush somebody's spirit.
So you crush their soul, and they never want to do UXR again.
Totally.
So she's all about delivering feedback that is specific, actionable, and encouraging.
Give me an example.
Okay, so like say your mentee just wrapped up a presentation.
Okay.
And you can tell that they were kind of like rushing through it.
Yeah, been there.
They were nervous.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying like, oh, your presentation needs work.
Which is so easy to say.
So easy to say.
Right.
But so not helpful.
So not helpful.
She'll get granular.
Okay, so what would she say?
She might say something like, hey, I noticed that you were speaking really quickly during your presentation, especially when you got to like the data analysis part.
Uh-huh.
That made it a little hard to follow your train of thought.
Okay.
Maybe next time take a breath between each section.
Oh, that's good advice.
Right.
Yeah.
And give people a moment to process the information.
That is so much better.
Right.
That needs work.
Yes.
Because it's actionable.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's not just like you messed up.
Yeah.
It's like, here's how you can improve.
Yes. Exactly.
But then she knows that sometimes even with clear feedback, you need chance to practice
totally
in a safe environment.
Yeah.
So that's where she incorporates role-playing.
Ooh. Fun. I love a good role-playing scenario.
Yes.
What kind of stuff does she have people role-play?
Oh, everything.
Okay.
User interviews, usability testing sessions, presenting findings to stakeholders.
Okay.
Dealing with difficult personalities.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because you know you're going to encounter those.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like getting that practice.
Yeah, it's like a dress rehearsal.
Yes, exactly.
Before the big show.
Exactly. And then once they've got those foundational skills down, she's a big proponent of guiding mentees through real-life UXR projects.
Because at a certain point, you got to get your hands dirty.
You have to.
You can't just like read textbooks.
Exactly.
About it forever.
You can't just live in the world of like mock interviews.
Right.
And like hypothetical projects.
Okay, so how does she approach that whole like real world experience with a mentor?
Right.
Right. You can't be like, I read a cookbook once, so now I'm a chef.
Exactly.
You got to like actually get in the kitchen and burn some stuff.
You got to burn some stuff. Exactly.
Make a mess.
Yes.
So, okay, what's her process for that?
So Anderson breaks it down into 3 key phases.
Okay.
Project, scoping, study, design, and then data collection and analysis.
Wait.
But she's found that like especially new researchers, they want to answer every question under the sun.
Oh.
Like right off the bat.
Oh.
And it's just
Yeah, you got to narrow it down.
It's too much.
Too much. It's kind of
too many ingredients. You'll ruin the dish.
Exactly.
Yep.
So Anderson works with her mentees to really kind of like narrow that focus.
Okay.
Prioritize the need-to-know questions.
Yeah.
And create a manageable scope.
I like
for the project.
And then so once they've got that narrowed down, then it's study design.
Exactly.
So that's where you're actually figuring out how to answer those questions.
Yes. How are we going to answer these questions the best way possible?
Right.
And she has this great story about a mentee who was like dead set on using a survey
Okay.
to understand user motivations. Uh-huh.
And they like really dug into it together. And they realized that actually in-depth interviews were going to give them like way richer, more nuanced data.
Yeah, because sometimes you need more.
You do.
Than just checking a box.
Yes.
Right, you need to know.
Exactly.
Exactly.
The why.
And the what?
The why is everything.
Okay, love it.
And she really helped her mentee see that like the method that you choose can actually make or break.
Oh, for sure.
The whole project.
Yeah.
And so once they have that nailed down, it's all about logistics.
Right, because that's important.
Logistics are key.
Yeah.
Who are we talking to?
Right. Are we using a tool? Do we have to pay for it?
What tools are we using?
What's the timeline?
Timelines.
Yeah.
And actually, she has another story about a mentee
Yeah.
who, like, totally underestimated the time it takes to recruit participants.
Oh, God.
And had to, like, totally rework the timeline because of it.
Yeah. You learned that one the hard way.
Live and learn.
Okay.
But that's why you have a mentor.
Right. Exactly.
To guide you through those hiccups.
Yeah.
And then comes the really fun part.
Okay.
Data collection and analysis.
Yes. That's where the rubber meets the road.
Yes. This is where you put all that planning into action.
Yes.
But
it can be scary.
It can be very overwhelming.
Right.
Because it's like, oh my God, this is real.
Yeah.
We're doing the thing.
Yeah. And then the imposter syndrome creeps in.
100%. Those gremlins come out.
The gremlins.
So Anderson says she'll often like shadow her mentees during this phase.
Oh, I like that.
Especially when they're newer to a certain methodology.
Oh, that's good.
So it's like a second set of eyes and ears.
Yeah.
Just making sure that...
Making sure you're not like going off the rails.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Stay on track.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to data analysis, she's such a stickler for objectivity.
Yes. Because it's so easy to be biased.
So easy.
Right.
And especially when you're newer, you're like, oh, I see a pattern.
Yeah.
But it's like, is it really there, or are you just seeing what you want to see?
Confirmation bias is real, y'all.
It's so real.
So how does she keep people on track with that?
She uses tools like affinity diagrams.
Oh, fun.
Like the colorful Post-it note charts.
Oh, yeah, those are good.
To like help mentees really see
it visually.
Those patterns and connections in the data.
Yeah.
Without like jumping to conclusions.
I like it. It's like those connect the dot pictures.
Yes.
Where you can't really see it until
you connect all the dots.
Until you connect all the dots.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's kind of the project flow.
So we've got this project.
Yes.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
But throughout this whole process,
Right.
it's still like an ongoing feedback loop, right?
It is, feedback never stops.
Right.
You're constantly learning and growing.
So what are some of her tips for like how to give good feedback?
So she really likes using these two feedback frameworks.
Okay, hit me.
SBI
Okay.
and GRIO-W.
Catchy.
So SBI stands for Situation, Behavior, Impact.
Ooh, okay. I'm writing this down.
Yes.
Situation, behavior, impact.
It helps you give super specific, actionable feedback
Okay.
tied to a real situation.
Give me an example.
Okay, so say your mentee is struggling with presenting their research findings
Ooh.
in a clear and compelling way.
Yeah, I've been there.
So you could use the SBI model and say something like, during your last presentation to the design team.
Okay, so that's the situation.
That's the situation.
Right.
I noticed that you were jumping back and forth between different data points.
Okay.
And it was hard to follow like the overall story that you were trying to tell.
So that's the behavior.
That's the behavior.
Okay.
And that meant that the team didn't fully grasp like the weight of your findings.
Okay.
Or how they connected to the design decisions.
Okay, so that's the impact.
That's the impact.
Oh, I love it.
Right.
Because it's all tied together.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
And it's not just like you're bad at presenting. It's like, here's what happened.
Very specific.
Here's what you did.
Yes.
And here's how it affected things.
Okay, what about grow?
Okay, so GROW stands for Goal, Reality, Options, and Will.
I like it.
And it's all about having that like collaborative conversation
Okay.
and empowering the mentee.
Yeah, give them the power.
Yes, to find their own solutions.
I like that.
So you start with their goal.
Okay.
What are they hoping to achieve?
Makes sense.
Then you explore the reality of their current situation.
Okay.
What's working, what's not working.
Uh-huh.
Then you brainstorm options together.
Oh, fun.
Brainstorming. And then finally, you focus on the will.
The will.
What concrete steps
Okay.
are you going to take to actually make this happen?
So it's like, we're a team.
We're a team.
Solving this together. I love that.
And then just as important is the mentor evaluating themselves.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yes, because you can't just like rest on your laurels and be like, I'm the mentor, I know everything.
Right, I'm perfect.
Right.
Yeah, no one likes that person.
So she's a big believer in self-reflection.
Okay. How does she recommend doing that?
So she'll regularly ask herself questions like, am I providing the right balance of support and challenge?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Or what could I have done differently in that situation?
So it's like you're holding up a mirror
Yes.
to your own mentorship style.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's not pretty,
No, it can be uncomfortable,
but you learn from it.
but that's how you grow.
Okay.
And then she also encourages mentors to regularly seek feedback from their mentees,
Oh, that's a good point.
which can be a little scary.
Yeah, it could be scary.
To be like, hey, tell me how I'm doing.
Yeah.
So she actually will sometimes offer like an anonymous feedback form,
Oh, that's smart.
if that feels safer.
So they don't feel like they have to
Yeah.
sugarcoat it or anything?
You want the honest truth?
Yeah, this has been great.
It's been so insightful.
I'm inspired.
I feel like I could use a mentor now
Right.
after all this.
After talking about it for an hour, I'm like,
Yeah.
I need some guidance.
I need somebody to talk to.
Yes. And if you're listening and you're feeling that way too,
Yes.
and you're like, I want to be a mentor,
yeah.
remember, you don't have to know everything.
You don't have to have all the answers.
Right.
Just be willing to listen.
Be a good listener.
Be present.
Yes.
Be supportive.
Yeah.
And be willing to share your own journey.
Yes, 100%, because we're all just figuring it out as we go.
We are all just figuring it out.
Right.
That's the
yeah.
beauty of it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for diving into this with me.
This has been fantastic.
This has been great.
I always learn so much from our deep dives.
Me too, and I hope everyone listening did as well.
Yes.
We'll see you next time.